front of their face, and local time is 7:15. It's actually been dark, full dark, since 6:30, which means that 5.5 of the 12 hours will be run in full dark.
At least.
So basically half the race they'll have the lights on and need them. And this is a very, very dark track. Those of you who know the lighting that is around Le Mans, and even the lighting actually that's now around in the Dubai for the 24 hours, will think, oh, well, you can see a couple of corners. This is a pitch black circuit in the middle of the wood.
I was talking to Tom Onslow-Cole as we were just scarfing down T at near record pace, and he was saying this is going to be as dark, probably darker than the Nürburgring, and probably as dark as Spa in terms of modern race circuits. Once you leave the tiny little glow of the... I mean, even the pit lane itself is not illuminated.
Not overly light, no. It's not flooding out. You're not going to be going, oh, I can see him trolling down the pit lane.
No, you're not going to go from blinding light into darkness. You're basically going to go out from your pit garage into ever-increasing darkness, and the track will be very, very dark. And there are no reflective markers, as you would find at Le Mans or as you do find at Spa. So, yeah, for the drivers, and most of them are in this category, for the drivers that don't know the track intimately, it is going to be a bit of a voyage of discovery, and down in the pit lane, there may be a bit more damage than we've come to expect. Session is due to go live in about 30 seconds. Are we joined in the pit lane by Joe Bradley?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Excellent.
Lovely.
The world can hear me. I'm down in the dark. And you're right, guys, because, all right, the pit garages are lit. The apron is lit where the cars are going to be coming into the pits to be serviced. But looking over the pit wall, in fact, beyond the pit wall, where the track is completely pitch black. Now, usually, circuits have at least the start-finish straight lit in some way, but here at Brno, not at all. And considering we're going to have at least, what, 5.5 to 6 hours in the dark, because it started to get really dark, and I know we've got low clouds, so it got dark a bit prematurely, but it started getting dark enough to need car headlights by about 6:30, and it was completely pitch by 7. So, well, it was completely pitch before 7, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were busy tucking into our puddings and stuff.
Yeah, so we didn't notice out the window.
Well, if those of you who are following us on radiolemans.com can also join us and watch pictures streamed on the 24-hour International Endurance Series website, it's 24H Series, all one word, .com. And you can see the pictures there that were shot earlier today during qualifying, which was the driest running we've had. The meteo for the day, I hate that word, the weather for the day, I think it's French, is that it started out very misty indeed. Not actually in Brno city itself, because it was quite clear in Brno, but in the valley where we are, and in the valley where our hotel is as well, where we're staying, very misty this morning, and that meant the track was very, very damp, and it really only got dry during qualifying, a 90-minute qualifying session with all cars out in one big rush. And Prague, the Team Prague, or Team Praha as it is, Ferrari, ended up with pole position, courtesy of a scintillating lap from Matteo Malucelli. The Ferrari number 11 will start on pole ahead of the Ram Racing Mercedes, car number 30. The session ended a minute and a half prematurely. Not. Why? Because there was a Czech car in front. Actually, I said to Tom Onslow-Cole, I said, did Thomas Jaeger, who was in the car at the time, did he have any more speed? Because it looked like a couple of laps he just didn't have anything left to challenge. He said, no, actually, he had gone purple in the first sector as the red flags came out. Yeah, there was a
squirrel on the track.
No. Somebody had actually gone off and buried it at turn 2 or 3 or something, right on the edge of the track. And with only a minute and a half left, there was no way any other means of intervention would have ever gone green again. So it was an instant red flag. So it was genuine. It wasn't a competition red. Those of you watching the streaming, we are seeing a very unusual sight, which is an onboard from a car which has got lights inside the car, a light attached to the roll cage to illuminate essentially the windscreen frame. How distracting is that going to be for the driver? It's good for the onboard in that you can see things with the onboard, but
They've got some quality lights out there.
well, and again, as we just talked about,
lights on the cars.
you properly need them, because it is very, very dark indeed. There are no street lights. We're not in a city or near a city. We are in a deeply forested area just outside the town of Brno.
The light pollution is low. It'd be a good place to do your stargazing, wasn't the fact there's complete cloud cover.
We could see, what are those fetid showers?
There's Orion's belt.
Yeah.
Gentlemen?
Oh, Joe Bradley, go ahead.
Bit of news emanating from the pit lane regarding the 162 Ginetta. That's the Niederschneider Motorsport team Ginetta, who we saw rolling to a halt.
Yes.
That needs a new engine. And the new engine is en route from 600 kilometres away.
Okay, so it'll be here by the morning.
It'll be here in the small hours, and then the team are hoping to have it installed and ready for a run, probably to the grid.
600 kilometres isn't quite as far as Leeds, is it? But it's a long way back towards Ginetta's home base. We have a car in the gravel already that has all the hallmarks of somebody not quite finding the brake line. Turn one. Well, that is at turn one. I think it's a 3 series. But he's got off at turn one, and again, not even reflecting distance numbers. If you're in traffic, okay, that's one thing, because their lights ahead of you will help illuminate. If you're on your own, and presumably early out of the bits this car was.
It was a marked car, I was right, car 91.
Okay. There you go. And had it got a loose right rear wheel, or do they normally stick out that far from the bottom? Oh, so it doesn't have to have wheel arches. I should take your word for that.
Well, you can take my word for it, it's on the screen.
Busy pit lane at the moment with
It's quite a lot of work to do. Think about it. If you've got 5 drivers and they all want to do 3 laps, means you've got to get 15 laps in an hour, including in and out, no mistakes, a couple of changes.
2.5, 3 or 4 minutes to drive a change as well. So, and it's a 2.5 minute lap. Yeah,
it's an active time.
It will be busy, and you know, this is where, unlike in Barcelona, where doing the 24 hours with 2 drivers in the Seat seemed to me to be unmitigated purgatory. Here, having 5 drivers is actually going to be the hard bit, especially in night practice, to try and get them all in. I'm sure if things go a bit TU, you'll be able to go and they will stop.
Yeah, compared to Golden, it's not the same as not doing night laps in the mob, but I think it's a different car on the gravel.
That is a different car and a different gravel track, but because we can see the back of the pits. Oh no!
Gentlemen.
That is the top of the hill, so that is before. So he's gone off on 13 feet.
Yeah, while we retrieve that errant car from the gravel trap, I've caught up with a driver familiar to Radio Le Mans listeners, certainly. Piers Maserati, who this weekend is out in the number 101 Seat Leon of the Red Camel Jordans. It's a strange name. Piers, good to see you again, mate, but bit of a character building practice session and qualifying for you guys.
Yeah, we didn't really get out in the first free practice session. Well, actually, the first test session we didn't really get out. It was wet, and we had a few issues with the car. And then we got out, and then good free practice. But yeah, unfortunately in qualifying, Andy had a few offs, so we were fairly minimal on dry running. So we got 4 laps in at the end of the session, which was good enough, to be honest. It just we were a little bit off.
And you were telling me this is your first experience with front-wheel drive, and for people listening at home who haven't experienced the difference between front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive in a race car, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's massively significant, really. I mean, I've never driven, obviously I've driven front-wheel drive on the road, but it's not quite the same as this. This car, I mean, really good cars, really good. Seat Leon is, cup car is a maker, actually. Very forgiving, but it's just trying to be smooth. Steering input, getting the car as straight as you can, as early as you can, and that's a big thing, really. And for us, we're a little bit understeery still. We're still trying to find a balance, and obviously we're a bit behind, really, because it's our first time out. But actually, we're really happy where we are. If we stay out the pits, we can have a result here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. A 12-hour race, a 4-hour race. It's all about going round and round, and it's got to be said, the Seat Leon is a pretty robust car.
Yeah, as I said, really forgiving, really nice car to drive for us. All 3 of us never raced front-wheel drive before, so you come in, you think, and having run a Clio team, was hard enough for the boys ever to keep on the road. So, you know, it's really forgiving. And we love the car, actually. Maybe that we do the full season next year in one of them, actually, yeah.
We were speculating about how difficult it is to keep temperature in the rears of the Seat Leon, the Clio Cup cars, especially in track conditions, what we saw today, which were really damp and cold. It's going to be a bit colder tomorrow. Is that going to be a problem in the Code 60s?
Yeah, it could be a bit of a problem. As long as we get the first, you know, if we can get half an hour running, we'll get the tyres up to temperature pretty quickly. You know, within the first 20 minutes or so, we should be all right. But yeah, Code 60 will cool it down, and that's part of the problems we had in qualifying, really. Andy, unfortunately, not used to it, so losing the rear quite a lot when the tyres were getting colder. So we'll change the fronts every 2 hours. The rears, we'll try and keep them on as long as we can. But really, for us, it's literally about managing our understeer. If we can just dial it a little bit out tonight, just to balance the car a bit more, then we'll get through 2 hours, and we'll try and do 2 hour stints each of us.
You glad to be back behind the wheel then?
Yeah, I am actually. You know, I missed it. I think the last proper race I did was 2007, Brit Car race, or maybe it was ELMS in 2007. One of the two. I don't know which one was last. So it's nice to be back out. I do miss it a little bit. I don't want to be in a GT3 car. It's a bit quick nowadays for me. I'm a bit past all that. So this suits quite well. And if we have a good run, maybe we'll do more of them. I hope we do.
I hope you do too. It's good to see you again, mate. Have a good night. Have a good session. Piers Maserati there in the 101 car, as you heard there. Drivers and team learning their way with that car.
Rotation. All about rotation. Getting the car to rotate so that you move the rear around and you don't abuse the front as much. And that's the absolute key to front-wheel drive. And it's so difficult for a non-front wheel drive specialist to really trust the car, and that's going to be their big problem. As you said, understeer is, you know, to try and get natural balance in the car. It feels good, but actually you're killing the tyre. It's got to feel evil. It's got to feel like it's trying to spin you off at almost every corner, and that's when you are rotating the car the way the tyres are going to
Exactly. It's counterintuitive when things go wrong. You know, you don't ease off. You actually fire it. You go oversteer. You just give it plenty of full power on the front wheel to pull yourself back in line again. Yeah. I think it is particularly difficult here when you have low temperatures, because you have this issue with it. You know, the front wheels are doing all the work and the rear wheels are passengers, and all they're trying to do is keep the car basically balanced, but they can just let go because they've got no temperature.
Well, perversely, you want less grip at the back, and that's what lower temperatures give, but it unfortunately then gets to a situation where you get much too much snap oversteer, and that's a bit unmanageable. Code 60, by the way, is why it's all gone rather quiet. We've got 2 cars off. The marked car's number 91 has been towed back out the gravel.
And the
116 was in the gravel as well.
The Rickard Nielsen Renault Clio being run by Rickard and Tanya Nielsen only, so they were a couple of big teams with 2 drivers only. Now we had the official entry list in 12 hours.
We can narrow it down to 50-50 as to who it was.
It was Nielsen who did it.
Yeah, and 116 it was Rickard. Although
terse words over breakfast.
Although Marcus Paltler did tweet entertainingly earlier on, just watching the timing screen, and I notice I've just come into the pit lane.
Interestingly, he's also at the top of the timing sheet, which means they've mended the car already, because that was in many bits halfway through qualifying, but they've mended it in the 2.5 hours they've had, so that's gone out. Unlike the, I can do my first job for Joe.
Oh, Jobs for Joe, I think so.
Job for Joe.
Have we got a jingle for Jobs for Joe?
Job for Joe. How's the KTM doing, car 80? Is that still with the garage shut and giving up? Are they mending it? You may have to sneak around the back to look in, Joe, but they closed the garage. They've already lost 25 with a punctured tub after a low speed off this morning. They took 2 corners off and a higher speed off this afternoon. So the question is, have they lost that car as well, or will one of them be there? Off you go, Joe.
On a scale of 0 to 2 KTMs, how many are going to be
1.25 are left.
Yeah, well, not even one. No, it's 0.25.
Well, there's 1.25 theoretical by KTMs left. Actual usable KTMs, not so sure.
No, not at all sure, I'm afraid, whether we're going to have either KTM in the race. Certainly one seems to be completely hors de combat, which is a bit of a shame for Thomas Enger, because he was due to drive that. And the other one, as you say, stuffed in what seems to be a very similar manner.
Bits fall off it quite easily. It seems it sheds its corners quite easily.
I think if you hit it hard enough with a firm part of the scenery, bits fall off a lot of
really, because you think about it, because its key raison d'etre is low mass, you would think it would hit things with less force.
Yes.
So therefore, perhaps it has more weediness built into its parts.
Less kinetic energy. I'm now venturing into very dangerous territory.
Let's not go O-level physics, let alone A-level physics.
I gave up physics when I was 12, so we're not getting into that.
You do realise that physics actually didn't give up on you. You're still being affected by it every moment of
No,
your
I
life.
gave.
I refuse to believe in gravity. Oh, Martin's hovering away now.
Anions and cathode. No, I have no idea.
So, of course, this is a bit of a problem for drivers if Creventic were going to stick to the very letter of the law, because this is taking a lot longer to do than 3 laps. But because your lap time now is out to 5 minutes or 4:55, so they're running out of time to get these laps rotated. I would think they'll rescue the 2 cars quite quickly. They weren't broken; they were just beached.
Inconveniently beached, yes. And actually, you know, the requirement for the drivers to do these laps is sensible, and the drivers will want to do them, because otherwise the first time you go out in the dark will be, oh, the first time you've been out in the dark. And there'll be lots of other loonies who've been out there for half an hour or an hour and a half racing their wheels off, and you'll go out and go, I don't know where I'm going, and I can't see anything.
You know, if you're on a 3-man rotation, you might get 2 hours after it's been dark 4 hours. If you're in a 4-man rotation, it's a possibility of not having to go out at all if they don't want you to.
Well, there is that possibility.
General?
Yeah, there is. Joe Bradley's in the pit lane.
Yeah, I've got the number 91 Mark Carr's Mazda. That's the white one, the number 91 cars. Came in and showered us in gravel.
Yes, that's the one that was in the gravel trap earlier we're on.
A man,
so correctly identified.
the man that didn't put it in the gravel is Peter Leemhouse. Peter, I know for a fact you didn't put it in the gravel because you sat here. Let's talk a bit about the weekend in general. There's a lot at stake this weekend. It's about a championship, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. I just have to look. I've just got to take it as it comes now. So, and I'm not going to panic about it. It'll be what it'll be. But car's pretty good. The car's good in the wet. It's been good in the wet. So now, when it was coming into the dry, we put in 2:08, which was a good time. And now Keith, he's just decided to pick up some gravel. I don't know what he wants it for, but he's brought it back here. So we'll just stick it aside and then we'll send him back out. And then I'll go out there too for a couple of laps. And then we're pretty well set for tomorrow. And then we'll go from there. But yeah, I've got a bit at stake.
And have you been here before? I would expect not.
No, this is first time. So I think it's first time for the whole team, basically. So it's quite a good track. Yeah, in fact, so it's I'm starting to enjoy it. Whereas, when I was at Paul Ricard, for instance, it took me a while to enjoy it, but this one pretty well straight away. So it's good.
What I've seen of this track, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Phillip Island insofar as it's got a lovely flow to it. Would you agree?
It has got a flow to it, and it's really strange because it feels like it only feels like it's like 4 kilometres long or something, but actually it's 5-point-something kilometres long. So it's really weird. So yeah, I was just saying, geez, it's a short track, and you don't have long straights on this one, and so it's been quite interesting. But in fact, it's 5-point-something kilometres long, so it's still a reasonable size. So yeah, and I like the width of it. So, there's plenty of room for passing. So yeah, it's a pretty good track. But Phillip Island, no, I wouldn't compare it to Phillip Island. No.
No, not in a good way.
No. Phillip Island's Phillip Island.
Yes, it is. Pete, I'll leave you to it. We'll speak to you later on the weekend, but we wish you all the best of luck. And it's no pressure, Peter Leemhouse, who's
I like that.
doing what I would have thought would be the best way to approach this, and just think about what's next, what session's next, what laps are next, when he's next in the car. And it's just about going round and round, isn't it, guys?
I thought it was a good joke, because rather than doing something like Alton Park, you thought, I'll just pick out a random Australian circuit and see how it goes.
No, seriously.
It's nothing like Phillip Island.
No,
What I wouldn't know Alton Park.
Listen. What I meant was, you heathens.
I'm only playing with you.
What I meant was that Phillip Island is a momentum track that has a lovely flow to it, has very few stop-start places. I didn't mean it was like Phillip Island in the way that Alton Park has got undulations like Brands Hatch. I meant in kind of from a technical point of view, it's about keeping the momentum through the fast turns.
I think as someone said, it's a MotoGP track. It's like
Yeah.
Donington, apart from the old hairpin, is absolutely the same thing. It's all
Yes.
about flow and going
Yeah.
through. Any of the really good MotoGP track, and it is a really good MotoGP track, share the same that same flow about them. Like Mugello shares a flow as well, and
Yes,
the
exactly.
better Spanish circuit. So I'm being very unconscious for a laugh.
That's not like you.
Quick thing is, we're getting a scrolling message saying teams are strongly advised to tank for the race during night practice. This is to prevent a queue before the race. So what they're saying is the supermarket is open, please fill up your tank. It's double points till tomorrow morning when you have to pay twice and queue up. Yeah. So the thing to remember is that...
Chancellor's putting up VAT on fuel overnight, so get in the queue now.
When you're down the pit lane, what you see is every single car has a maximum refuel marking on the side, like 90 litres, 100 litres, 110 litres, but there's no limit, or as much different limit, the actual ultimate size of the tank. So you can start the race with 120 litres, even though you're only allowed to fill up 90 at a time.
Yep.
So really, you actually want to tank right at the last minute, brim it, whatever your brim is, because that gives you much more flexibility in that first run.
You might end up with a 15, 30 litre spare amount of fuel that you can carry around, which means you can actually put in a couple of longer stints early on if you need to break free of traffic and to kind of disrupt other people's rhythm.
It's certainly a tactic that the SLS, which have a very big tank, used a lot, to have this big opening stint, or sometimes they'll come in, even despite the weight penalty, they'll come in with 20 litres and then brim it again to run a strong middle or second stint in these longer races. They like to get that flexibility in there.
Yeah.
And that, of course, the maximum refill is never the full size of the tank, because you always need to have something underneath it. So most of the cars have 120 or 100 to 120 litre tanks.
Yeah.
And they can refuel different amounts depending on the class.
And the amount that you can refuel is done to help balance performance of various different groups of cars, not because that's the maximum size of the smallest tank in the
A6
category.
class. It's different.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's not like the situation where you're at Le Mans, where if you don't come in on lap 12, you never come in because you never make it round again. Here, you've got that margin for error. So if you come in and the team go, no, massive queue, keep going, you can go back out and do another lap or two if you need to, or quite several probably, before you actually need to come back in.
So a lot of cars have decided to come in during this code 60.
Because they've got to do 3 laps at no matter what speed it is. So this would be the ideal time to be doing it.
Well,
so
20 minutes down, so it's just they managed to get through one rotation in 20 minutes. That's why is this code 60 taking so long? Though it's about to end in the next minute. We have less than 1 minute to green flag now.
Well, so, the fact is code 60 doesn't devalue the laps. You still go out and do them.
Yes.
So you still get your nighttime running. Okay, you don't learn.
Yeah, we've had code 60 for 10, 12 minutes on the back of 2 cars to get out the gravel. Not for anything serious.
Well, back with our onboard in what is 101, we've still got the same guy with the flowery helmet in the car who's been in since the beginning of the session. Now, he's done clearly 3 laps. He should be handing it over to somebody else for them to do their 3 laps.
It's one, there's 101 is a 3-car team, so they've got 20 minutes each, that's fine. It's not the 5 cars have got a lot more aggressive rotation to get through the cars.
Yeah, they really do have to get a bit of a shake on, don't they?
So we have no real time to tell you. The best time is at 2:12 from, let's see, Marcus Battalla in the BMW to get straight away to shake it down after his accident. But that's, just shy, I've got 12 seconds off the pole.
Well, actually, what is interesting is that under code 60, everybody's doing somewhere between 5:20 and 5:30, 5:40 in some cases as a lap. So it's 3 minutes 30 in some cases.
Assuming no one's made a mistake, you've got as low as 5:19 and as high as 5:38. So it shows that there's a variance within their speed limiters. Now, we had that problem in Dubai a couple of years ago, where one of the smaller cars was on a pit limiter that was wrong, and it was holding up a lot of A6 cars that would get past them. They were absolutely bones. They lost about 20 seconds a lap because he was wrong. And there's nothing you can do. You've got to take it. You just live with it.
But it's like limiters on vehicles that can only do 56 miles an hour, isn't it? You sit on a motorway and you can see there are 2 trucks that are nominally limited to the same, and one of them can go a mile an hour quicker than another. So for 16 miles, you sit waiting to actually
overhaul. Rather worse on the A14, which is 2 low motorway.
Yeah.
So they're now banned overtaking on fast tracks.
Yes, which they need to do on the A34. Meanwhile, in more international, slightly less
People
parochial.
understand the idea of 2 lorries in a dual carriageway. Replace the A14 with the E7, maybe it's the same thing. 56 miles an hour and 56.1 is resulting in a big queue.
But they're professional drivers, so we won't take that away from them. It is green flag again once more here at Brno, and 38 minutes to go. 19 and a half is how many hours in the day we've got to so far. Looking at the wrong side of the screen there.
It's difficult things right. Let's do that, shall we?
I'll look across at the bridge that I can read still. So it's 38 minutes and 4 seconds.
It's still 9 degrees air temperature according to that, but now it's 8 degrees track temperature. So the track is now called the air. I didn't think it was possible when it wasn't wet.
Temperature inversion.
So the fog's coming then.
Well, at the moment, I can see the illuminated sign over the pit lane, over the track, which we couldn't do when it was particularly foggy. At least we couldn't read it. We knew it was there because there was a dim glimmer. And actually, the TV pictures that you can see on 24hseries.com definitely still show that it is as clear as it was earlier on. It's not as bright, obviously, because it's dark, but it is clear. And at night time, you see, I mean, the headlights will definitely show you if it's getting foggy, won't they? On board, coming past our grandstand, that's us, wave. There we go.
This is again.
Yeah, this is it. So it's not the 101 that's got Johnny with a flowery helmet in.
That's the 101 now.
Yeah, that's 101 now.
Which is the Piers Masperata car, which we heard a conversation with Joe.
Which doesn't have Piers in.
No.
He just narrows it down.
It'll be either
It's
Andy,
Chris Papagiorgio, I think, isn't it?
or Andy Demetrio.
Well, I think on the timing screen it says Papagiorgio. However, as has previously been evinced by competitors, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're the right person.
That car was a Google line, it was actually a non-functioning radio link.
Very much.
So still no one's beaten that 212 as they ease out from the first couple of speed laps from the green flag.
Lots of different illumination systems on the cars. This is more and more the case when you're doing long distance races that involve a lot of night time, is you'll have a pattern of lights on the front or around the windscreen to allow your team to identify the car if they see it coming down the start-finish straight in the dark.
Well,
Generally one set of headlights looks much like another.
Yeah, there's been quite a few interesting headlights. If you take out the production, and I include them in, say, some of the specials have gone for some very special light fittings as well. There's one that's got a selection of spot ball lights, which look like they come from a 1970s lap. There are a number of them which have added kind of aftermarket demon tweaks, arrays of LEDs as well to really just to aim into the corners.
Yeah.
So they've kind of gone for, most of the corners here are right-hand and clockwise, so we'll have an aimer to get the apex on the right-hand side. So there's lots of extra lights. If you can see the feed at the moment, you'll see the marked cars, that's got a free set up light system, doesn't need the extra, but most of the specials, the GC and the various other special cars, have got a special light range as well. The diesel car, this
Seiko.
the Seiko, that has literally just bought 4 high-impact LED torches. You can see half that hold the graphite of the nose and stuck it in. I'm sure that's what it looks like. It looks like something I knocked up in the garage in an hour and a half.
Well, you know, cornering lamps on rally cars, when they used to do stages on rallies at night, anyone old enough to remember? Yeah, I remember. They were a big thing, you know, lamps that pointed out. So when you're turning, you can see where you're due to go, not where the headlights are looking straight ahead when the road doesn't go straight ahead. So we could see that earlier on, Paul Royce's BMW, down in the nostrils on the far extreme edges of the front air dam, where normally you'd have brake cooling ducts, because it's probably not going to need that much extra brake cooling. They put a couple of outward pointing lights. And yeah, being able to see where you go really helps, especially if the brake cooling ducts are blocked up with lights. It's working very well.
Especially if you've got the hours of with 3 rows of engine lights at the bottom of the car inside the air dam. They're just using that air system to the cooling it, it's so cool anyway, and they're just filling it with a selection of lights. Some of the lights are yellow, some of the lights are white. Unfortunately, the camera, they can come towards and they just look a blur.
Glary, yeah.
They are inside the car. There's a position light, which is the overall position light, which is the glass, and also obviously the actual numbers that you're illuminated too. So there's quite a lot of light out there on the cars, just none on the track.
Our sole SPX contender is in the pit lane, and that is the Lamborghini Huracan.
So it's one that class then.
Well, not necessarily, because if there's not very many people in the class, he may well be hoiked into
So
another
he's in
class.
SPX because he doesn't qualify for
That's
SPX.
true.
He's too high, he can't go where he is because it's a development car, isn't it?
Well, he could go into A6, couldn't he? Because he's not
A6.
quicker than that. Wait, he wasn't in qualifying.
Well, he should be an A6. The reason he's not is because I think it's a homologation thing.
Yeah. Well, the car qualified 9th, so he could easily be subsumed into A6 without offending any of the top 8
My
A6
feeling
cars.
is it's not homologated with GT3, so it can't be an A6,
No,
even though it is a GT3 car. car and set up the GT3 environment, the new Lamborghini Huracan.
Ooh, new fastest lap from Hubert Haupt, and it's a 2:07.3. And the number 2 Mercedes in qualifying produced a 2:02.2, so 5.1 seconds off in the darkness. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's something getting down to some decent speed.
He won the Dubai 24 hours in the past with Black Falcons. You might know different to Barcelona.
He was there in Barcelona. Because I saw his dad in a hat, as you do.
I see your dad in a hat. I raise your dad in a hat, your mother in a pinafore.
So yeah, no, hang on. No, I'm thinking of Hans Heyer's son. Kelvin. Bert.
So a lot of cars now are coming in. I think it's now the second rotation, hopefully, because they are halfway through.
Kenneth. For those who are shouting at your radio sets or televisions, Kenneth. Speaking of television,
Radio set.
yes, they do. Why?
Crystal radio.
They're wireless. Well, for those of you shouting across your Port and Lemon and the radiogram, yes, Kenneth. Higher.
Surely you're whilst you're sitting on your aspic.
Very likely. Very, very likely.
Okay.
Just to bring you up to date with tomorrow's action, race gets away at midday. Coverage starts at 11:30 on Motors TV. So wherever you are across Europe, 11:30 Central European Summer Time. So 10:30 British Summer Time, 09:30 GMT. You can convert that into your local time and place. And if you're not in the Motors TV viewing umbrella, I'm sure if you go online and use reliable search engines, you will find a way of watching it as well. We're on
You
from...
don't need to. You can watch it live on 24hours.com series.
You can indeed. 24hourseries.com will also be streaming it live, exactly the same pictures. So we'll be on Motors TV in Europe from 11:30 local to 1 local, and then they'll go away for World Superbikes.
No, Italian Superbikes.
Italian Superbikes. And then they'll be back at 4:20 up until 1/2 midnight. So races midday to midnight, and we'll stay on to allow Joe to shine because he is captain podium.
Oh, yes.
He is, I hear he's up for Podiummy
Stop it.
Presenter of the Day award.
I think that he'll be top of the podium for podium presenters.
Certainly be top of a greasy pole.
Stop it.
That's just
Sorry,
a rumour. He's a
I got my Eastern European wrong there.
Yes.
I say that. I'm
Very
embarrassed.
good. From the pit lane, Joe Bradley has news. Joe?
No, I'm just saying you two stop it.
You know that's never going to happen, Joe. Joe, I'm going to ask you a question. We're going to be at this sort of position at this sort of time. What are we feeling temperature-wise out there? Is it noticeable drop down? Because it's going to start affecting the cars. It's getting very, very cold. And keeping the temperature is going to get more and more difficult.
No, actually, it's gone to, I think, 9 degrees track temperature and 7 degrees ambient.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I've got several layers. I've got a T-shirt, which is a polo shirt, and then I've got the Cravantic blue kind of zipped sweatshirt, then a Radio Le Mans fleece, then a Radio Le Mans jacket.
I mean, we talked about...
So I'm snug, and I've just lost my broadcast feed because this little box is eating batteries, so I'm going to go off for a little while and get it sorted, because I've gone through 4 batteries, guys.
Excellent.
4?
Yes. I don't know what he's doing with
No,
them.
I'm afraid the radio box is the unfortunate purchase of local batteries, which do not work as well as their super title would intend you to think.
Not so super as the name might at
They
first
don't have the
suggest.
ability to keep the constant draw up. They just go blah.
That is going to be hard work, changing batteries every 20 minutes for a 12-hour race. Some glary headlights coming towards us.
I kind of suggested that our German friends went to the shops and bought some Duracells.
Yes. They might want to get some rechargeables as well, because they're going to be getting through a lot at this rate. So, fastest car now is the number 10 Hofer Racing Mercedes, and that is Christian Frankenhout, who was one of the standouts, frankly, in the 24 hours of Barcelona. That car, in the was it number 10 or the number 9? He produced a really quick late lap. Number 10 it was. Really quick late lap to put it onto row 2 of the grid. 3rd fastest of our qualifiers. Just to bring you up to speed, of those of you who haven't been to the 24hourseries.com website. It was a Ferrari on pole position, so Scuderia Praha, the local team, at least local as in from the Czech Republic, their Ferrari 458 Italia on pole, courtesy of a stunning lap from Matteo Malucelli. Ram Racing's Mercedes leading the Mercedes Phalanx, filling most of the rest of the top 12. Ram Racing second with the number 30 car. 10, the second Hofer Racing Mercedes was third. Then another Mercedes in fourth place, SPS Performance. In fifth position, the car that was the fastest after the first hour of qualifying, the BMW Z4 of Senka Motorsport. Then it was binned and unfortunately left the that was like having a rush goalie who never rushed back to the goal. The net was open for 30 minutes and it was beyond the bounds of possibility that nobody was going to improve. But nevertheless, they still will line up fifth on the grid in what has been a repaired car. Sixth place, Porsche R997. No, it's an A6 Porsche, Team Herbert Porsche. The number 7 car is in sixth position. Then more Mercedes is. HP Racing are 7th with the number 2 car. The number 5 car collection car is 8th. Leipert Motorsport 9th with their Lamborghini Huracan. And then we're back into Mercedes territory. Hofer Racing's number 9 car is in 10th, and the 24G private racing car is 11th. Before we get to our second Ferrari, which is the SP2 pole sitting, second string Scuderia Praha car. So Scuderia Praha with a car in A6 on pole, and a car in SP2 also on pole in their class, seem to have had a very good qualifying.
Not particularly well. I mean, it's interesting because you put your money on Peter Cox being the person to put that on pole, who's been their fastest driver.
Well, he was early in the session, fastest with that car when he was in it, but Matteo went out last.
Yeah, the issue with the Scuderia Praha is that they have trouble in keeping all their drivers of the same pace and keeping on the island. They've had a couple of big accidents this year, a massive one at Dubai and another couple of minor ones. All of them have got a bit of pace in them, but the real difference you see between the professionals and the pro-ams is that the gentleman drivers, the gentlemen have a little bit of a tendency to find hard objects to hit.
Yeah, well, Jaromir Jurik's done a fair amount of GT racing. He should have the experience, as long as the excitement of being potentially in the lead of the race doesn't get to him at home. Yuri Pisarik, I've not seen race very much before, which doesn't mean that he's not done much. It just means that I haven't been watching.
I think it's like a lot. You know, it's a situation where they have a very quick car, they have a very quick driver, and they've had a couple of bits. I think they haven't got the fastest gentleman drivers there. If you look at what Paul White's doing, he's in the second half of the pros, and you look at some of the. And then if you look at the way that the number 10 car, the Hoffa Racing car, whilst they name some very gentleman drivers in that car, those guys don't actually get in it. And it's just run by Frankenhout and Hoffa, and they've actually, this week, they've actually drafted in Sebastian Ash, yeah, I don't know why I'm pronouncing it wrongly for no reason. So they've actually got Sebastian Ash named in the car, and the chances of Chantal Cole or Michael Cole getting in the car are below nothing. They might do a couple of laps under code 60, but they have the option, of course, if their car breaks down today, the number 9 machine. But that pro entry, the 10 entry, is mostly piloted by Kenneth and Christian.
And they're going for gold.
They're going for the 20 points.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've had a bit of bad luck on a couple of the races. They broke down very, very early actually Kenneth binned it very, very early in Dubai, and they also broke down on the other later races. I think Michele broke down really early as well. And at that point, you've got 1 drop score, but you've got 2 drop scores, you're out because of the quality that Ram and managed to go forward ahead of the field. They finished every place, they were third, and that's why they've won the A6 class. They've got a good chance for the team's championship, and the drivers are also in the run for the drivers' championship. There is, of course, as we found out and we've discussed, every class versus every class for overall team and overall driver.
It is brain-achingly, brain-meltingly complex, and we've got 12 hours in which to get ourselves utterly tied up in knots. I think the simplest thing to do is wait until the checker flag has fallen, and then wait for the lovely Natasha to tell us it.
Well, let's try and prime Joe with the wrong results before he goes to the podium. That's the key thing.
Well, Natasha will make sure that he has got all the right results, or that they have all got the right results before they get to the podium, and rightly so. And there's all
Those of you
sorts of plans to keep
analysing
things warm.
the scores, the interesting thing is that if drivers are level on points, there's no countback. So it doesn't matter whether you've done it with 3 wins and a 4th or 2 wins and a 2nd and a 3rd. It's the same thing. It's just ultimately the number of points you've got. And there is a combination with 5 drivers from 3 different teams could win.
Yes.
Could tie, sorry, for the top.
Yeah.
And it's not like a weird combination either. It's quite a potential one. This car, if you've got the chance to see, the 75 car, which is currently on the feed at the moment, which is the sea blue, I suppose you call it, BMW, one of the stalwarts of the Creventic team. That's also one of the Hoff machines. That is the car that's currently equally in the lead in the team's championship with Ram Racing. It's E46 M3 Coupe now. BMW Ites will tell me how old that is. I think that's the car from about 1999 to 2004, isn't it? That's original engine design. That car hasn't done a lot of laps today, but it's a very well sorted machine.
Well, that's the Michael and Chantal Kroll most likely car, isn't it? As you say,
Chantal, yeah, it's where Chantal, if she can get her points, it's where she's going to have a good chance. She's obviously already won the Ladies' Cup, but she's a very good chance to win the overall Drivers' Cup as well.
Absolutely
Joseph.
right, she has.
Just stepped out of that 75 BMW. Mon, you are one of the teams with a lot of pressure this weekend because you could win a championship. How much thought are you guys putting to that?
Well, we will see what's happening on Sunday morning, 1 minute past midnight.
Yeah, I think so. So I take it it's just another race. You've got to just, you know, drive the car, go round and round.
It's not another race. It's, yeah, Chantal leads the championships overall. The BMW leads the championship overall. So it's a little bit pressure, but we don't talk about it.
Yeah, I'm sorry to have brought that up. Yeah, that's my job. Tell me a little bit about the circuit. It's absolutely pitch black out there, without any lighting whatsoever. So how easy, how difficult is it in the car?
Well, it's okay. I know it from the Nürburgring Nordschleife, so you have lots of parts, it's dark as well. But here it's okay. It's a short track and you have little lights and it's okay.
And what about traffic? The faster cars coming up behind you with the bright lights. There's plenty of room out there.
If you're fast enough, you don't have faster cars. No, it's a joke. You have to watch it. It's very interesting to see the dancing light in the mirror, but it's okay. You know, I make it now since 5 years, and you have a little experience, and so it's okay.
So tomorrow, or I should say tonight, when we're finished, tell me a little bit about what the team will do. Will the team, you know, do anything to the car in preparation for tomorrow?
You mean this night?
Yes.
Well, we will check it up, everything, then we go out for 1 beer, not more, and then we see it tomorrow what's happened.
Great stuff, great challenge. Thanks, Martin. Thanks for talking to us. Martin Kroll there out of the 75 BMW with it all to play for this weekend, guys. And I know he's trying not to think too much about the championship, and I don't blame him.
1 beer, not more. That's
Sounds
what
like
Joe.
you and I.
Well, yeah, that's exactly. Well, even if we do go as far as 1 beer, because our bodies are temples.
Our bodies are worn out.
Ruined. Yeah.
It's the age thing.
Fastest car in the session currently is also the car that will start this race on pole position. The delectable Natasha has just gone up to 11 on the gorgeousometer.
No, she's gone to 12 and a half.
12 and a half on the gorgeousometer because she's just walked into the back of the commentary booth with a heater.
What do you think about that, Joe?
There you go. I think this, well, let's not listen to what Joe was. So Matteo Malicelli, fastest in the number 11 Ferrari that sits on pole. The number 10 Hofer Racing Mercedes, second quickest. And in terms of lap times, 2:07.0, 2:07.2. Those are the fastest laps of those cars. Hofer are going to go for maximum performance on their balance of performance rather than maximum economy, aren't they? By the board. I can't possibly even think about
It's
reading
the
that out
balance
on there.
performance for Pro-Am and in A6Am and A6 Pro. It's fine.
Okay, so basically everybody's in the same BOP. BOP weight plus 30, fuel minus 5, maximum fuel 100. Okay, so we got different fueling amounts for some of the Porsches and Mercedes are on 100, the Porsche on 95, Ferrari on 105 litres of fuel they can take on at any time. Maximum reference, final maximum reference lap time is 3. Maximum. Okay, so nobody has gone for the parsimonious sipping fuel to slightly lower lap speed that we saw in Barcelona, presumably because there's not enough in a 12-hour race to really slightly different.
So the Ferrari gets more fuel up. All the Mercedes can put 100 litres in each time in their 120 litre tank.
Ferrari
The Porsche
105.
only 95 and the Ferrari 105. The Ferrari has a little bit more flexibility.
The BMW's on 100 as well. So Mercedes and BMW are the same. Ferrari can take on a little bit more fuel and Porsche a little bit less.
The Z4 is 100 kilos lighter than the AMGs, and even lighter than the 993. The Porsche's lighter, the plate is heavier. It's got 170 litre engine, so that's fair enough.
And the Ferrari's weight is 1280, so that's the lightest of the lot.
No,
BMW
1255.
1250.
1255 for the
1225.
No, we want that.
Minimum weight.
No, it's what you want one at the end. That's what they want me to go.
Radio. Okay, so change the brakes on
I
the
think,
Speedworks.
gentlemen,
Aston. Joe Bradley in the pit lane.
I think they're just bedding pads and discs in readiness for tomorrow's race.
I mean, a lot of these cars, when we go to Dubai, are changing between, depending on the model, between 10 and 14 hours. So I'm sure they will try, if they could possibly find a way, to do the whole race on one set of pads and brakes.
Now, anybody who's watching the live streaming on 248series.com will disagree with Joe Bradley, as I am. They are trying to whack the caliper off, and it's jolly warm, so they're trying to whack it without actually really touching it very much. But there is a spare brake disc on the floor, so I'm suggesting they are, in fact, going to change the discs and bed a new one in.
Yeah, probably.
And then, if they do need to change it in the race, and if it's a planned change, it won't at least be, brand new. It will be brand new, but it will have had some fluid. It will have gone through a heat cycle.
Joe, you listening?
The answer to that is no, because I lost my, I've burnt another battery. That's another story. I'm sorry, I totally lost you. So we're saying they're not bedding brake pads?
We are now.
No, we're saying
we
they
are
are, but
now.
they're also changing a disc, because we could see the spare
Yeah,
disc
discs
on
and pads. You've got to match the pads to the disc, Mark.
Yes, exactly.
I want to ask you a question, Joe, because you obviously have run teams, and you've run teams in the UK, where it's cold.
Yes.
What do you have to do to take a car which baseline works great at 20 degrees or 25 and make it work at 7 degrees? What things do you change as it gets cold? Just tyre pressures?
You mean handling-wise?
Yeah, how would you get a car?
Yeah, I mean, the tyre pressure is dependent upon track temperature. Certainly brakes, you just have less ducting to the brake, so less cooling, which is what you use the practice sessions for, to see what your brake temps are and try to maintain their optimum working temperature. And it's the same with tyres, to get the tyres to wear. What you don't want is the tyre to be sliding across the surface of the track, because that just wears the tyre out without gripping, if that makes sense. So, you're playing, and you know what? This is anything from karting through to Formula One. It's all about getting the tyres to work, and that tyre temperature, that tyre pressure, I should say, will vary depending upon weather, track temperature and ambient temperature. So in a nutshell, yeah, it's all about the tyres.
Nighttime practice in Brno for the final race of the 24-hour International Endurance Series, powered by Hankook, live on RadioLeMans.com. Nighttime in the Czech Republic at the circuit of Brno. Final practice session before the 12-hour race, the epilogue, the last race of the 24-hour International Endurance Series, powered by Hankook. Martin Hay, that's a quid. It's Hankook's half hour, not Hankook's. Martin Hay, Nick Damon upstairs I'm toasting my hands against the heater, and down in the pit lane, PC Joe Bradley is on the beat. RadioLeMans.com bringing you all the action. Final 14 minutes of night practice, so still requiring a chance to get drivers in and out of their cars to do the minimum nighttime running. And actually, conditions pretty nice. All right, the visibility is all but nil, because it is as dark as if you've got your eyes closed pretty much all the way around the circuit, but we're still seeing fastest lap times from some of the cars within 5.5, 6 seconds of where they were in qualifying, so they're getting some decent pace into the cars.
Yeah, I mean, it's chilly, but now they've got a track that is dry. It is relatively clean, and they have visibility whilst it's dark. It's unimpinged by fog. So this is quite a pleasant night. If you're in the car, it's fine because you're nice and warm. A little bit of a challenge for people who haven't got a lot of but yeah, I mean, it's now a case where you do the fast setting. I'm sure they've rotated everyone through. Just had a new fastest lap actually from the 33 SPS Automotive Mercedes with Mr. A. Muller, who is actually Alex Muller. There's many Mullers around it, be careful with that. Alex Muller with a 206.546. Peter Cox has taken the Scuderia Paraha Ferrari, number 11 in the second overall, with a 206.846, exactly 3/10 of a second slower. And it's the Hoffa Racing car in 10 on a 207.2, and then Christine Tilker, who probably didn't do the time in HP Racing number 2 on a 207.3 in the classes. The fastest of the SP2s is that Ferrari Challenge car with Lino Julik from and then of course the fastest it's BMW A5. It's the 82 machine, and that is Daniel Sakwiczki from the Czech Republic with the M3 in A5, and next person A3T, it's Phil Quaife. That's good news for him. In the championship, I think they've got their own one in the Seat Leon, and then it is the 174 is the fastest in SP3, and that is the
BMW
Falkenhurst Motorsport powered by Dunlop, which is odd. BMW M325 Racing Cup car, and it is Dirk Adolf in the car at the moment.
Yeah, Dirk Adolf's got a lot of VLN experience. He's also a sport commentator for GT Racing.
In German?
Yeah. Well, no, actually he could do a very good job in English as well, but yeah, no, that's quite interesting. I think that might be a car for the future, that one. Definitely. It's got a lot of potential to win the SP3 class. So, could be a very tight battle at the top of that class.
Because its cup cars, which were running in M325, were running separately, and now sprayed out in the various classes. Interestingly, that's in SP3. We were told it's going to be an A5.
Their closest rival...
They've moved classes since our conversation this morning.
Yeah, their closest rivals in SP3 are, their closest rival is the Lotus Evora that's on pole. Cor Royce's car, which is currently Al Pruitt's driving. So that's a very, very different pair of cars. You can hardly imagine to see the BMW Saloon versus
hopefully Joe is listening to us. I know he's having the same problem I have with the radio down there. Is there any chance of getting even just a peek through the shutters update on the number 80 KTM car? I think you missed me when I asked you last time because you were suffering from dead battery syndrome.
Yes, I'll have a dodge down that.
Yeah, okay.
See what's going on with it, whether it is dead or whether they're just repairing it, or whether they've given up.
We're just saying on a scale of 0 to 2 KTMs, at what point on the KTM-ometer are we?
I think 1.25, you think less, don't you?
Do you know, I think it's down on the stop.
The new fastest there, from the same map, but it's Alex Miller again there, the 25154 with that SPS Automotive Mercedes, so they found some real speed in the 33 car.
205.154, what did they qualify in? They're qualifying, that was a 201.49. So 205.1, that's 3 point... seconds.
He'll be out on old tyres.
Tracks.
It's some seconds slower than they were.
Yeah, but only 3 and a bit.
In the dark,
and it's,
on old tyres.
And it's blindingly.
And my guess is it's also probably pretty heavily fueled at this point.
Yes. And really dark out there.
Aye. I keep looking over at the onboards. They keep being frozen. I keep thinking somebody stopped.
Well, there was quite a good. If you're watching the streaming on 24-hour series website, there was quite a good shot a little bit ago with one of the cars when it was leaving a pit road, and then drove around the end of the pit buildings and into the fuel pump zone, and that sort of gave you a very good view of what it looks like. It's essentially what's normally Parc Fermé, what will be Parc Fermé in any other race meeting. But you drive around, there's a sort of big loop, and on the return part of the loop are 5 fuel pumps to allow for refueling. They are standard petrol station fuel pumps on a little podium, not permanently mounted obviously, but they're all there ready for fueling.
Gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
We need Martin down here because I can just about on tippy toes see. You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
Nick.
exactly,
The little glass windows in the pits, and I'm just watching them working frantically.
Oh, that's good.
Like a bunch of ants.
they're working. Are they working on the car on the right or the car on the left?
They're working on the car on the right.
Okay, so it has
And
the
it
orange
looks...
and black. So they're giving up on the 25, but they had a last right a couple of hours ago. Just checking it was tough. So this one obviously is tough. And
They-
it's bending.
I think this car's going to be in the race tomorrow, guys.
Great.
It looks like it's got 4 corners on it. It's got the engine in the right place. It's got the rear towards pit out the garage door, so I can't quite see what's exactly going on at the front, because that was where the majority of the damage was. If I can just
I would argue
peer
that actually
through.
the back didn't look very clever. I think the front didn't look too bad. It looked
All
more
right,
like broken
okay.
steering arms.
Yeah, I mean, the front, basically, look, you could tell it rear-ended itself into the barrier because it cracked the carbon in the rear left, but somehow it managed to snap off the front left as well, even though it had done virtually no damage to front left bodywork. So it was just a weird thing, really. But thanks, Joe. Excellent tippy-toe-tastic work.
There was only, next
I'm
time
going to bring a box tomorrow.
Well, ask an adult.
Well, you play cricket.
And again, on the live streaming, we can now see one of our cars driving into the loop. And unfortunately, they're going to cut away now because they lose the signal as he goes around the back. Driving into the loop around to the fuel pumps. Everybody is doing what race control suggested. 6 minutes and 45 seconds of nighttime practice remaining. So it is time to go and brim the car now and absolutely fill it right up. I'm not sure how long the fuel pumps will remain open after the main store has closed. Is there a 24-hour card pay option, do you think?
I think they probably give them a little bit of time, but the point about it is, when you come out, you have to go round the track again.
Ah, yeah.
I guess some will queue up and then get pushed back up the pit lane later, but I don't think it'll be open forever, that's for sure.
Through the other end of the garage, which would be legal, whereas being,
It's all legal because the event will be over for the day.
Indeed. So yes, maybe a 15 or 20-minute option, and again, that would still avoid being in a massive queue tomorrow morning when everybody's trying to get through at the same time before the start of the race. So it's not the earliest start on the planet. The race doesn't get underway till midday, but pit lane will be open from 11, so you don't want to be turning up at 10:15 going. Should we just go and fill up now?
If you're in the Brno area, there are 2 hours of exciting Czech drift action beforehand.
Yes. If you're not in the Brno area, there are still 2 hours of exciting Czech drift action.
Yes, but you can't come and see that Czech drift action if you're not in the Brno area.
Well, to guarantee disappointment, come early. That's what I would say.
Come often. Yeah, so moving on. So no one's clipping any better times. It's not an awful lot of green. Perhaps the one in 8 or 9 cars going
Carl
green.
has gone quicker again.
2:11. It's not quick.
Quicker. Jake Camilleri has gone quicker again in the market. Here's Maserati has understeered his way faster across the line in the 101. Cars going quicker.
Exactly.
Well, but then on the other hand, getting on for 20 of them are already in the pits. In the pit lane or on pit road.
13.
Depending on which particular pedant is arguing with you.
We're 13 with a P.
Okay, but only 47 cars have actually gone out. Oh, now then. Ram Racing, car number 30. How many laps has it done?
Like 13.
13.
Yes.
So that's 3 drivers at 3 each. Yeah, they said they were going to do very little running at all, just enough basically to get themselves qualified. So
They're all looking
have done.
That car's all looking very tidy in the garage, and they're just kind of polishing it in readiness for tomorrow.
A good rub down for the night.
Yeah.
It's very warm in here, by the way, John.
Sorry?
It's very warm in here now. It's lovely.
Have you got your little fan heater there?
Lovely. You missed that as well.
Oh.
We got a 1-bar heater.
Have you yet managed to get a non-yellow battery that might work?
No, I'm on my 7th. I kid you not. And the red light's on, so I should lose you any moment.
The red light on's good. It's when it flashes it's bad.
Ah, right, the red light's good. Ah, right, well, it flashes very quickly. 9 degrees ambient, 7 degrees track. That has not shifted at all.
It hasn't, has it? And I
No.
wonder what... In fact, if only there was some device on my telephone that allows me to find these things out. I will now go and see what's the forecast for 10s for tomorrow.
It was 10 as a maximum yesterday, earlier at lunchtime I looked.
Yeah, okay.
So a little bit chillier than today, but without the fog was the prediction.
High of 10, low of 4, which will be obviously at race start.
And race end as well.
So sunrise at 7:07. Ah, now see that's quite interesting. and sunset at 18:14 tomorrow. So pretty much wham bam right in the middle. And if there's any cloud cover, it'll feel earlier. So
Very slow car.
that's okay. It's behind the barriers below us. Do not be frightened by that. It has happened many times. That's just the first time you've seen it. Yeah, so sunset should be just halfway through the race. And as you said, Nick, high is going to be maybe 9 or 10 degrees by the middle of the afternoon, and then it'll sort of sag as it has today.
A bit like us.
What we really want is not to have mist and just that lack of visibility and that high dampness that we had today, because that's just going to make for a very tough race for everybody. This is a great, enjoyable racing circuit when the weather is fantastic, but even when the weather is only average, it is a great track for the drivers to race on. As we've heard from several drivers saying, there's lots of room to overtake slower cars, and it's a good flowing fast, and it's got high average speed as well.
Gents, if the race had been today, we would have had to delay the start to 2 o'clock, because at midday we still had 100 metres visibility.
We wouldn't. We could have started under code 60. Like
They did roll out the promoter test, went out at that sort of, they started it, they rolled out, and they got up to full speed about twice, didn't they, in those first few hours. So it looks like basically all the cars are now coming towards Joe. The number of Ps on the timing screen is growing all the time as they cars pit and get ready to get put to bed. Is it getting busy down with you, Joe?
Well, there's lots of cars coming in, and there's certainly lots of cars already in the garages, and you can understand that. There's no point in you just basically tonight's about doing what you have to do within the regulations, and once that's done, then there's no point at all. With such a short gap between now and a 12-hour race, you certainly don't want your crew, your chaps and chapesses, to be working into the small hours and then having to get up in the morning and prepare for a 12-hour motor race. So that's what we're seeing. We're not seeing the only car with any drama is the Ginetta, which has to have that engine. That was car. What number was that? Was that 160? 162, yeah. That's the only car with any dramas. Everyone else seems to have worked through their programme, and they've got what they've got, and that's what they're going to go into tomorrow with.
Yeah, so part of that, the KTM, which we should see out, so we should have 49 starters with best of all, hopefully 47 cars to the first part of the night break. I'm sure those 2 other cars will be given a dispensation by the Creventic team to run tomorrow, which will be 49 starters. So we'll get underway for the 12-hour race, which starts, of course, at midday, local, 11 o'clock UK, 10 o'clock GMT, 6 o'clock in the East Coast, 3 o'clock in the West Coast.
Coverage from 11:30, so book now to guarantee disappointments. The fun starts at midday and the broadcast at 11:30. Checkered flag is out to round out night qualifying at the very gentlemanly time of 8:15 of the evening here in Brno. So the final bit of track action for the day comes to a close, the end of day 1 for the 12 hours of Brno. The epilogue, because traditionally the final race weekend at Brno for many years around sort of Czech Championship racing, or a big season finale, and fitting bookend
It's a 6-hour race, wasn't it, we were told today?
Yeah.
Used to run a 6-hour multi-class race. It began to dwindle in support, so Creventic have taken over and boosted it up to virtually 50 cars.
Now, I wonder if in the days of the old road circuit they did a 6 hours of Brno on the old road circuit, because that would have been just fearsome. Multi-class racing on the road track. Very,
I suppose with 30 kilometres lap, you won't get lapped very often.
Well, in the old days, we've got some fantastic pictures that I've not seen before, because it's in the VIP area where normally I've not been allowed, of the track from 1930 to 1937, when it was at its longest, and it was dirt road, and you've got Bugattis and the Silver Arrows, Auto Unions, Mercedes, all coming racing here. Holy moly, you think the guys in the ETCC in the 80s had balls of steel. Those guys were of an entirely different cloth. Quite
Of dangling.
Quite frightening dangerous.
There's a couple of good shots of the cars in the early 30s, and they're not running on metal roads, are they?
No, exactly as Le Mans was. It's all gravel roads, and you think, the country roads we came on today, you think are relatively narrow. I'm sure they were about 2/3 of that width, that maximum in those days. So, yeah, definitely want to focus the attention. Last few cars coming across the line here in Brno, taking the checkered flag. And Carl Wendlinger on an out lap. So they obviously had something that they wanted to do to the Mercedes that needed a quick confirmation lap to go around. He'll be one of the last to take the checkered flag. Lots and lots of other cars in the pit lane. And in fact, just 2 cars remain on track. Wendlinger's Mercedes and one of our 2 French-run Peugeot 208s. Everybody else either on their way back in or already parked or around at the fuel stops and finishing off preparations. Not too much work probably for many of the teams to do tonight. The cars all looked in pretty fine fettle, most of them after qualifying. 47 of potentially 51 cars went out in the final session. We can account for 2 of those non-runners, and those were the 2 KTM Crossbows, one which is unlikely to start the race. I think we are probably down to 50 starters. The second one, which was damaged in qualifying, which hopefully will start the race because, as Joe said from the vantage point of his orange crate, looking in, he could see work going on that car. Not too much else going on. I can hear noises off of Joe trying to line somebody up to have a quick chat with. So we'll see quite what the deal is. We heard from the Scuderia Praha team. We've heard from Ram Racing, who lies second on the grid. Somebody from Hofer Racing, or SPS, maybe the number 33 Mercedes. That would be Lance David Arnold bringing that in as the fastest car in night practice. Maybe catch up with him. Good strong driver lineup as well in that. Alex Muller's been very quick in that number 33 car.
Muller's a very popular name within Germany, but is that the Alex Muller who used to do Formula 3000?
Yes. I believe so.
Alex quite well then.
Or it could be the Alex Muller that did GP3 and GP2.
They're old years.
Yes, indeed. Hard to tell.
Muller is Muller as popular as Smith? Is it the Smith of Germany?
Well, Muller obviously translates directly as Miller into
Gentlemen, I
English. Joe Bradley is down in the pit lane. PC Joe, what have you got for us?
I've got one of the major championship protagonists, Chantal Kroll. Already the 2015 Ladies' Cup winner, and already pressure mounting for tomorrow because another championship could come your way.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
I'm saying tomorrow's all about a championship, not just a race, yeah?
Yeah, it is. Well, it's also about the race. I mean, every race is just having fun and trying to win the best. It doesn't matter if you're in the championship or not. But tomorrow, yeah, it's all about the championship too. There are some very strong other drivers, and they also got a lot of really good drivers for this race too. So it will be hard and tough tomorrow.
So do you think behind the wheel of the car, when you're actually driving and racing, do you think the championship will come into your head at all tomorrow?
Well, it would be nice if it wouldn't, but it doesn't.
And does that add pressure to the job?
A little pressure, yeah.
And how will you sleep tonight?
Well, last night it was not so good, so I'm tired now, so I hope it will be good tonight.
And, you know, do you have a gin and tonic or something to help you sleep?
No, probably a tea. I don't know. I will see later.
Okay, Chantal. Good luck for the rest of the weekend. Tomorrow's all about the race. And thanks for speaking to us. Chantal Kroll, a driver with not just a race to think about.
No, she had to think about your accent as well. But she's great. She tuned herself into you. The first question, no, and then in pure terms, she then got tuned into your accent, which is fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I think she's got a lot. She's very honest there, very sweet. Yeah, there are lots of issues, and I don't want to think about it. And now I'm going to think about it. And but really, I'm just not. But I can't sleep. To me, he says a little bit nervous. What do you think, Martin?
Understandably, I think, you know, she's won a championship, but it's the Ladies' Cup, and actually winning the championship is going to be the big thing. Well, our thanks to Joe Bradley, and thanks to her for that quick interview. Thanks to Nick Damon as well. We're going to say goodnight to you now on our coverage on 24hourseries.com and radiolemans.com. And don't forget, you can join us tomorrow from 11:30 Central European Summer Time. That is 09:30 Greenwich Mean Time. Translate that into your local time zone. All the action live, lights to flag on radiolemans.com. The race starts at midnight, coverage at 11:30 local, 09:30 Greenwich Mean Time. From Joe, from Nick, from the rest of the Creventic team here, and from everybody in the Czech Republic, on behalf of them, Martin Haven saying thank you for joining us. We'll speak to you tomorrow for the last race of the championship, the 12 Hours of Brno, live on radiolemans.com.